Joining us now, former Speaker, I believe it's former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Great to see you. We have a long history at conventions, as we talked about the other night. What is your take as it relates to the Secret Service understanding and what Kim Cheatle said?
Well, look, I mean, if you don't fire her, you don't get anything. She clearly is totally irresponsible. You have to ask why they were understaffed. You have to ask where those people went. You have to ask what the standing orders were. And my sense is that the Trump team, the Secret Service team, had been asking for more help for weeks and been turned down. Now, if that's true...
But she said a slope roof. It was 130 yards away. It's a layup for anybody that has rudimentary skills.
Look, this is probably inappropriate for a news program, but that's crap.
You could say it's Adam. We say on this program, Adam Bullshiff.
Okay. I would just say a person who thinks we're that stupid,
yeah,
and who has people who are that weak. I mean, if you go to the SEALs, you go to the Rangers, there are lots of people who don't mind getting on roofs. And I'll bet you there are hundreds of Secret Service agents who would have been willing to be on that roof. And again, come back to the basics. She has to be fired.
Let me play the interview, and this is Kim Cheatle. And there are two basic things that she said. And one, she said, I take full, complete responsibility, but I'm not going to step aside.
Right.
And then, of course, she makes the issue of the slope roof, the slope roof, which tells me, okay, so they put the agent, she said, inside. As she's saying this, I want you to think about this. Okay, you couldn't put them on the roof. Why didn't you have sniper eyes 130 yards out on that roof? And why didn't you secure the perimeter around that? That didn't happen either. Anyway, let me run this. I just lost my earpiece. We got that tape ready? Let's roll it.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service.
You plan to stay on, absolutely?
I do plan to stay on.
I plan to stay on.
Wait, who was fired for Afghanistan? No one. Who was fired for being totally wrong about Kiev? No one. Who's been fired for having 9 million or 11 million people cross the border? No one. Why would you think the Biden administration, the most corrupt, incompetent administration in our history, would suddenly discover that with responsibility comes accountability? These are bad people doing bad things.
Then we have the rhetoric. Joe Biden, we got to lower the temperature. Last week he was talking about a bullseye. I've got a montage of Joe, and his wife said that Trump is evil. I think Don Jr. really nailed it. They have done a really good job of dehumanizing him, and which makes me think that I always hold the person responsible. That's the game liberals play. I never blame the Bernie Sanders supporter for the shooting of Steve Scalise. You hold the person responsible. However, to get lectured about lowering the temperature and we'll play Joe Biden. Listen.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service directly?
Oh, I've heard from them.
But have you heard from her publicly?
Publicly, I've sat down in a situation room downstairs. The Secret Service, the FBI, the national security agencies, the Homeland Security, all the major elements.
Okay. And then he also made the bullseye comments. He had the speech in North Carolina. Jill Biden said he's evil. I don't really think he has the moral authority for lectures.
Well, I think that to take Joe Biden seriously is to misunderstand the whole nature of the Biden administration. The fact is that Joe Biden is a traditional, corrupt Delaware politician who's adopted all of the left-wing views, but who, in fact, has no underlying sense of responsibility to the country or to anybody else.
As a historian, how much fun is this for you?
Well, this is extraordinary, but I want to say one thing that may be a little bit jarring to some people. As I listened earlier to Don Jr., and I've talked with his brother, and I've thought about the family, we should also remember that every weekend in America, there are hundreds of families who are experiencing the same tragedy, the same agony, except the bullet didn't miss. And maybe it'll get all of us to take more seriously stopping the kind of violence that dominates parts of Milwaukee, Minnesota, Chicago. We ought to, when we listen to think about Trump, we should think about everybody else.
Mr. Speaker, great to have you.
Good to
see
see
you,
you.
as always.